Hi, this is Bill Murrow with Hureka Technologies. Today we're going to present the ultimate guide to Instagram marketing. I have two very special people with me today. I have Adriana Jurek and Manpreet Kaur, and we're going to talk about how you can make Instagram work for you. So, first question I have, ladies, is when did you start working with Instagram? They've been doing this for over a decade now. What was your first experience with Instagram, Adriana?
I think I was on Instagram as a young kid in middle school, using the filters to make my pictures of flowers and of my friends look better.
That's awesome. Manpreet, when did you start playing with Instagram?
Hey, a fun fact, Instagram was earlier an iOS only app. And after some time, they just killed their contract with iOS and became an app available on all mobile devices. So the moment that happened, I joined Instagram.
Okay, that's awesome. So here's some statistics that kind of make your brain explode. We won't go over all of them. Clearly, they've attracted quite an audience, but the one that blows me away is 30 minutes per day. Manpreet, how do people spend 30 minutes per day on this? And why do they spend 30 minutes per day on this?
I think it is a very low average. Usually, you can spend more than 2 hours on Instagram without even knowing that this much time has passed. And right now, it's because of the reels. And there's this personal engagement factor that Instagram has as a platform, which enables people to spend so much of time on the platform.
Amazing. Adriana, how deep do you get sucked into Instagram on average on a daily basis?
Well, I won't out myself, but I do think the ever scroll feature that Instagram has, where you can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and a lot of other platforms utilize this as well. It really prevents you from kind of logging off, and everyone's on Instagram.
So once it gets you, it has you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, here's some answers to why. Pretty obvious that we have a highly engaged user base. It's a great way to promote your brand. It's friendly, it's not intrusive, and you can really have an opportunity here to make a good impression, get followers, and then nurture your relationship with them and hopefully turn them into customers. So, let's talk a little bit about some strategies for doing that. First, let's talk about goals. Manpreet, can you start us off with what is the importance of goals in your Instagram strategy?
Sure. See, as a business, if you do not have clearly defined goals on Instagram, you could be doing a lot of things, creating a lot of content and spending a lot of resources on the platform and getting nothing out of it. It's very important to pinpoint what you are trying to accomplish from Instagram. Are you trying to build brand awareness or sell a product, and how you're going to do it? So that's why defining your goals has to be the first step in your Instagram marketing strategy.
Excellent. So let's look at a second marketing strategy element. Adriana, how about defining the target audience? Why is that so important?
Well, it really helps if you know who you're making your content for. And I think that's the central idea whenever you get into social media marketing is you're making content for your audience. And you can get a good idea of who your audience is by creating customer personas and looking at Instagram analytics to find out who's following you now and who you could reach.
So this notion at the bottom here of listening to your audience, how do you do that on Instagram?
Well, there are analytics that can describe who your followers are based on kind of like location and gender, but also just engaging with your audience within the comments and asking them to respond to you and give their own thoughts.
Excellent. Good insight. So competitive analysis, this seems like something that maybe far too many people skip, Manpreet. What would your suggestions be on why they should do this and then how to go about it?
First of all, do not skip it. And I feel like if you're having a proper digital marketing strategy, this is one of the most important steps. But what you need to keep in mind while doing Instagram marketing is that you have to be very specific about what things you are researching. So we have laid out all the things that are Instagram specific when it comes to competitive analysis. I would say give it a read and make sure you're doing all of these things, because these are going to be the guiding points for your entire strategy. And it's very important to not try to reinvent the wheel when you're doing things like Instagram marketing. You already have a bunch of data, a bunch of public stuff that you can analyze to make sure what works and what doesn't work in your industry. So make use of that data.
Great insight. Thank you. Let's move on to editorial calendar. Now, this is something, Adriana, that we've struggled with in different ways. How do you find an easy way to get control of your calendar on Instagram?
Well, a good content calendar utilizes marketing automation. So you can actually schedule when you want your post to post, and it will post automatically, which is really helpful because I know whenever I manage accounts, I can schedule a post for a month at a time and then not think about it again besides engaging with followers for that whole month. There's Hootsuite, there's Social Proof, there's CoSchedule. We've had our own little battle with Social Proof and CoSchedule, trying to choose which one might be a better alternative to Hootsuite.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like we're going with Social Proof.
Actually, Social Pilot, I think, is where we're headed. Yes.
Oh, Social Pilot.
Uh,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Social Proof is actually ours, but that's okay.
They all run together.
Yes, they do. Okay, let's come back to you, Manpreet, on planning what your brand looks like. That seems like that's some pretty deep stuff here. What's your guidance?
So on Instagram, the most important thing is the aesthetic. So every single post you do and the way the composition looks like overall, your entire feed, that matters a lot. Because even if a person is impressed with your one post, they are going to follow you only if they are impressed with your entire feed. And at the same time, that one post is a very crucial opportunity for you to tell what your brand is all about, what your brand style is, and make an impression. So I would say, if you plan it well, if you plan your colors, how your voice is going to be, and everything about your Instagram content, that is very important, and that will help you out to get more visibility.
That's great. Let's come over to you. Wrap up this Instagram marketing strategy piece, Adriana. Planning the resources. Again, we talked about the calendar. We talked about the consistency with your brand. Now we're talking about getting really specific with all of the resources. What are your suggestions here?
Well, I know whenever I create my own like user generated content, it's keeping track of my gear. Sometimes I'll leave gear in a different state whenever I'm traveling, and it's just making sure that I have everything I need. And also, if you do end up buying a lot of gear to create content, I recommend portable gear, not necessarily the best stuff, but stuff that you can carry around with you as you go.
So you can really make this very effective for you without, building a studio for yourself. As you said, your studio is on the go.
Right. Yeah. All you really need is a tablet or a phone and a good microphone, and maybe a ring light.
Okay. So let's wrap up the strategy piece by coming back to getting very specific with goals. Manpreet, take us through this. What are the different types of goals, and how is knowing specifically what you're trying to accomplish very, very important?
So we have actually been able to finalize on 6 goals that you could use for your Instagram marketing strategy. And I would say begin with the brand awareness. If you are very new on Instagram, people need to know about your brand. And this is especially important for startups. And then driving traffic to your website, you have to do it naturally enough that you're just not selling on Instagram. Remember to be social on the social media platform, and then pursue all of these goals. And I would say one of the most important and effective ways to use Instagram marketing is while going for the lead generation goals, because you can already have discussions, you can already make connections on the platform itself, and it's just effective to go for lead generation on Instagram. In fact, there are billion-dollar businesses that are running solely on Instagram. That's the power of the platform. So pick any of these 6 goals and try to be very specific about it, because if you're not specific, you're trying to do more than one things with your goals, your content team, your marketing team, everybody would be confused. So as a business owner, you have to just narrow down to one goal and pursue that for at least 3 months, and then think about what are the benefits, or is it working or not.
So really, your counsel here is get clear on one, get traction on that, give it at least 90 days to develop, and then you can add a second one. And then over time, you can add another one. And eventually, you could have goals in all these areas. But if you tried to do all six all at once right out of the gate, you probably have a prescription for failure. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely.
Focus, focus, focus. And speaking of focus, Adriana, let's talk about the magic of key performance indicators, or KPIs. Tell us a little bit about your insights into these five key KPIs. That was
So,
redundant. Yeah.
so you first determine your goals, right? And then you'll need a way to measure how you reach those goals. And KPIs are really helpful in that. Um, there are a lot of KPIs and there are a lot of analytics and a lot of numbers you can look at. But based on the goal that you choose, you only really need to look at maybe 2 or 3 KPIs to get a really well-rounded view of how you're doing and reaching your goals.
And last but not least in this section, let's talk about analytics. Back to you, Manpreet.
Yes, so Instagram, once you have a business account on Instagram, you get access to a lot of analytics: who is following you, from where they are, what's their age, and what time, at what time they are available on Instagram, when are they active. All of those data is there in the analytics, and using it is very important to make sure you are creating content that is resonating with these people, that is going up on the time when they are active on the platform, and that is something they're liking. So analytics are really important to make it happen.
So as you've all heard, we've kind of reinforced this section of going back to our strategy. Step one is goals. And now we've gone deeper with it, that your goals, your key performance indicators, and your analytics all work together. And the theme of this is you have to commit to inspecting what you expect. If you're not measuring it, you can't tell if you're achieving what you hope to achieve with Instagram. So let's talk about the different types of posts and tell us about the first one. I'm going to come back to you, Manpreet. Tell us a little bit about the Instagram feed.
So this is actually where all of your content can reside, and this is where people will come to see what your business is all about. So on top, you have your bio, your name, and a link to your website, and then you get to see all of these posts. So this is very important in terms of composition, and making sure your brand is quite visible properly over here, because if you manage to impress them with this feed, they are going to follow you, they are going to be your customers someday. But if you do not make that happen, you have a tough time ahead.
And is it fair to say that in giving people the experience of your brand, even the structure with which you're feeding the feed is important as well? Tell us a little bit about what you've done here, say on Palatable.
Yes, we follow this 3 post structure. So if you see every single post, these are like 3 types of content we want to post on Palatable. So one is an infographic, then it's a very nice food post, which are something that work a lot when it comes to food brands. And then we have something about the app. So we follow this 3 post structure to make sure we are, our messaging is proper and we are conveying everything we stand for. And it's repetitive because it just helps our audience understand that this is what they can expect from Palatable, this is the kind of content that they can expect. So that familiarity actually helps them engage with us on a regular basis.
Yeah. And as you can see here, we have with Greenpoint Capital, we have that intention here. We fell off a little bit and a couple things fell out of sync. And as well as with Hureka Tech, the intention of putting a structure in place, make it consistent, defining how people experience your brand is really powerful. And frankly, it's just defining exactly what you're going to do that allows you to do this. So let's move on to another content type. Um, have you ever done any work on Reels, Adriana?
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty well versed in recording reels, which are 15 to 30-second videos, and you can add music and caption. They're a lot like TikTok. They were actually, we believe they're actually inspired by TikTok. But they're just a new feature to Instagram, and they you can get a lot of views really fast, kind of like TikTok because they are so short. It's a great strategy to utilize these in your Instagram marketing.
And coming back to your comment earlier about your resources, clearly you can do these anywhere and everywhere in the moment when it strikes you,
Right. Yep.
a-
Blogging.
as you have done. Yes. So let's move to another content type, IGTV. Manpreet, tell us about this.
So I would say this was inspired from YouTube. These are the long form videos on Instagram, and you can post from anywhere between 1 minute to 1 hour. And what we recommend is that you just take up the video you made for YouTube and put it over here, and just get more juice out of the content you are creating. Yes, and moreover, on Instagram, there's scarcity of clickable links. You only get one link on your feed, but in IGTV descriptions, all the links are clickable. So that also helps to just directly tell people to go to your website or stuff like that.
More progress for achieving your goals. Fantastic. So, Adriana, back over to you. What are Instagram stories?
Instagram stories were first inspired by Snapchat. Um, but I think what is good to remember when creating Instagram stories is how much real estate they take up. They do take up the whole screen. So whenever you are creating, I think it's a good idea to use every part of that real estate and add some of the cool features they have, like polls, gifs, Q&As, music, quizzes, countdowns. It's a really interactive feature.
Really powerful. And I think this one, Manpreet, is a new feature that's coming out. Yes.
So this was actually launched when Instagram stories were launched. So the thing with stories is that they appear only for 24 hours and then they are lost.
Mm,
Once they are gone, if you want some of them to stay, you can just put them in your story highlights. What we try to do with the brands we manage is that we use this as sort of like a place where we can show our portfolio. So for example, on Eureka Tech, we are showing the services we have, testimonials we have, and projects we have. So anything you want to showcase about your brand, you can put it in the Instagram story highlights.
beautiful. So we've covered 6 different types of posts. Now let's get into some details about strategy for these posts. And oops, oh, I skipped one of these Instagram guides. Adriana, can you comment on this?
I won't blame you for skipping this because it's actually a new feature, and I haven't been able to try it out yet myself. But I think it is a really cool concept where you can create step-by-step guides with tips and recommendations. And these guides could be about places, products, or posts. But I think it's a really cool way to create educational content in an interactive way.
That's beautiful. We will have to do more of that. So let's get into some details now on the strategy for building this content. Manpreet, lots to cover here, but just give us your overall insights on the different types of content and how to make them impactful.
I feel like the actual strategy should be just do it. Most businesses are not doing these content types. You can even just do one type of content, but it's very important that you start doing it and build on that. So I would say start with educational content because that is the most important and number one thing that works on Instagram. But at the same time, you can use behind the scenes content, product centric content, and even have your employees talk to your customers. So these are all the types we have just tried to lay down on this PPT so that people just know the opportunities they have when it comes to creating content, even if they are a B2B brand.
So going back to the structure we showed earlier, that could be a path here is that your center column is always educational. Maybe you do your product on the left, customer centric on the right. Again, this is just some guidance on how to get organized and execute in a consistent manner. So let's get really specific now. And Manpreet, I'm going to stay with you on this one. Talk a little bit about the styles and how important they are.
So we did talk about how important branding is on Instagram, right? So what we believe is that if you have a documented strategy about the styles you're going for, what is your whole feed composition going to look like, what are the colors, fonts, and hashtags and captions you'll use, all of that, if they are done with a documented structure, then I feel like there would be more consistency in it, and that's why it's important to build it up. It would be very specific to the brand you are managing or the brand you have. But yeah, note it down and make sure you're following it in every single post of yours.
Excellent. Whoops, I think I just skipped a slide here because we're going to come over to Adriana and talk about how often should you do this stuff, Adriana?
Well, as long as you're staying consistent, Instagram is kind of a post every day type of platform. But if you can keep that frequency up at a regular level and use whether it be automation or invite some team members in to help you out to try to and stay consistent, you will see your profile grow.
Okay. Speaking of your profile, let's talk about optimizing it. Again, we've got several slides here. I'm going to leave them on screen for a second, and then we're going to turn to the next slide and the next slide. Here's 6 through 10 and 11 through 15 coming up next. And Manpreet, with that, going into each one of them, what do you think the key is to optimizing your Instagram profile?
I would say follow all of these points, because not following even one of them would be leaving an opportunity on the table. If your bio or if your link is not proper, it's an opportunity lost. So follow all of these points, and we have this detailed blog post on eurekatech.com that we can link down below in the description, that really explains all of it in even more detail. So just follow them.
So take this as a checklist and make sure you check them off and do every one of them. Don't leave any of them to chance.
Right.
So let's talk next about influencing the algorithm. So I'll come back over to you, Adriana. What's your insights here about how we're going to kind of tell Instagram what we want to have happen?
Well, basically everything has rules that you need to follow, and so does every social media platform. And that's kind of what's going on with Instagram. They have these rules that you need to follow, and you can use hashtags to try and navigate to find the right audience. But really, it's kind of all six of these points combined together to really optimize your chances of not necessarily beating the algorithm, but working with the algorithm to find your audience.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice there is don't try to beat it. Try to work with it is the key. Manpreet, next slide for you is different ways to partner. Again, and we don't have to get into all 12 of these, but what are your highlights for people about how to partner with the algorithm?
I would say one basic thing about all the algorithms out there when it comes to, maybe it's a Google search algorithm or Instagram algorithm, is that they just want people to stay on their platform and they want them to get what they're looking for. So if you understand what people on Instagram look for, which is basically to engage with you or to learn a little bit and, just to be a part of your community, if you understand that and then formulate your entire Instagram marketing strategy, you are always going to be on the good side of the algorithm.
That's where you want to stay. So let's get into some real specific things now that are going to help you. Next one up, Adriana, let's talk about captions. How important is that?
Yeah, so your captions can be really long. They can be 2,200 characters long, which is awesome because you can tell a whole story in your caption and add a lot of value. But I think as long as your caption offers some sort of engagement to get people into your comments, then you have a good caption. You could also want to include a call to action so people know where to go after they see your post, and you want to stay consistent with your voice for your brand.
Excellent. Good stuff. Let's talk now. Come over to you, Manpreet, and talk about hashtags. Why do you need them and how do you do them?
Hashtag means more visibility for people, and not using them is again losing an opportunity to be discovered by more people. So Instagram allows 30 hashtags, and ideally you should be using all of them, but we recommend using 5 to 10 very specific hashtags that help you get discovered. And how do you use that is that once you were doing your competitive research, you would have come across a bunch of hashtags your competitors are doing. Then you look at the industry you are in and what could be your target audience searching for on the platform, and you bring it all together and make sure you are using it while being relevant to the actual post.
And we have a little bit more on hashtags. Here are the different types. Adriana, can you tell us a little bit about at least these 3 different types of hashtags and why they're important?
Yeah, so every post should have a little bit of community hashtags, a little bit of branded hashtags, and a little bit of campaign hashtags. And your community hashtags are the hashtags that your audience is using, or you're indicating your product or service with your hashtags, or just your niche industry, or just daily hashtags that you know that you'll be able to reach the right people with, and hopefully new people. And then your branded hashtags are basically you're tagging your own brand, so you're a little bit more searchable. So if someone's trying to find Hureka Tech, but our username is not Hureka Tech, but we use the hashtag Hureka Tech, they'll be able to find our post. It's
Mhm.
kind of a weird way to work around, but basically using Instagram kind of like a search engine. And then for campaign hashtags, they're more short term and they're identified with the specific campaign or post.
Okay, good stuff. Let's look at a little bit more on hashtags. Come to this slide with us, Manpreet. What do you think is important here?
I feel like just good research abilities are important here. Instead of thinking of using all the hashtags or documenting all the ones that you find, you should be actually looking at the hashtags that are being used more often and that are relevant to your industry. So something like hashtag coffee or hashtag motivation Monday could not be relevant to you. So you have to keep the relevancy in mind and your niche in mind.
And again, this comes back all the way to our strategy is if you've done your homework, you've done your competitive research, your audience research, you're now going to be well ahead of the game as you go to implement your hashtag strategy. And last but not least on hashtags, Adriana, final comment as far as optimization?
Um, just keeping track of your analytics and kind of testing out what works and what gets you the results that you're looking for, or at least gets you closer to your goals.
That's awesome. So let's go ahead and as we head towards the finish line on this, let's talk about some hacks or some best practices. And again, we've got 3 pages of these. We're going to go ahead and kind of leave them on the screen for a while. We'll let you go over to our website and investigate them so you can use these as a checklist as well. But Manpreet, what have you found is the best hack, or to put it in a more positive note, what's the best practice that you can recommend?
I would say go with the trend. Right now, for example, reels are very popular, and we actually tried it for Eureka as well, just as an experiment to showcase it to our clients. And Adriana has been able to get more than 10,000 views in a month or so. That is huge because we don't work much on Eureka. We are usually working on our clients' projects, right? But just with minimal amount of effort, we were able to get 10,000 new people to see our posts. So that's the amount of potential that trends have for you. So any new trend, try to see if your brand can come up with an idea or content idea that you can do while staying consistent with your branding, and do that.
That's awesome. And Adriana, being Manpreet shined the light on you with your great work on this. What's your recommendation for the best hack or best practice?
I agree with staying up to date on new features. Also, user generated content is really powerful, especially for businesses because it makes your business more approachable. But I think it's also really helpful for you to stay consistent by having good tools that allow you to utilize marketing automation as well as easy video editing software or graphic design software.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, thank you so much for your time and insights today. We hope that you take advantage as our viewers of this Instagram Ultimate Guide. and go through and use the checklists and the tools and the strategies and make sure you get this to work for you. If you need any help, we're going to show you in a second how you can contact us. We'd love to work with you on implementing your Instagram marketing strategy. But before we sign off, Manpreet, what's your final word for our audience about Instagram marketing and how to make a difference for their business?
I would say a lot of business owners just think that this might not be the best platform for them. But the truth is, Instagram has space for any kind of business. So you just have to formulate the right strategy to reach out to the right people, and this can work for you. So maybe talk to us how we can help you understand what would be the right strategy for this, or just decide to look up for it and make it happen for yourself.
Fantastic. Adriana, final word?
I would say that if if you're a business considering doing Instagram marketing, you should, because there's plenty of space for you there. Everyone is on Instagram. It's a good place to find new businesses and discover your competitors that you may not have even known, because your competitors in the real world might not be the same competitors that you have on Instagram.
Great insights, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts and experiences with Instagram. If you do need help, here's the contact information for us at Hureka Technologies. Again, this has been the ultimate guide to Instagram marketing. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.